Hello, and welcome to Reiki Level 2. If you are just joining us from another instructor, say you took Level 1 with a different teacher, and now you're here to receive Level 2, then I welcome you. And if you are continuing with my classes in Reiki, and you have decided to take Level 2, then I want to congratulate both of you for going further along your Reiki path. Level 2 is a very important level. It's the instruction that I'm going to give you is a lot shorter. That first video was very long, I realized, but there was a lot to show in Reiki 1, a lot of things to cover to make sure people really understood how to go about doing the self-treatments, what was involved with an attunement, and all that. And by the time you've reached Reiki 2, I don't need to go over all that again. And so what is it that you're going to be learning at Level 2? Well, I think the two main things that stand out about Level 2 is that you will be shown the Reiki symbols. Not all of them. You get 2 more when you become Level 3, but you start working with the symbols. So that's a big step. Now, their Reiki symbols are on the internet. They're everywhere. You can look at them, but until you have been attuned to Level 2, I don't believe there is much chance that you will be able to work with those symbols effectively. I'm not going to say you won't be able to. It's never say never, right? But I think if you want to really be able to work with the Reiki symbols, that getting that Level 2 attunement is very important. That's why I try to make my classes affordable, because I know people have this longing to further along their path, and sometimes finances can get in the way of that. So I also will be happy if you are just now joining us from another teacher at Level 2. I'll be happy to share our lineage, which I will send to you through an email. And also I will share the link for the Level 1 video as well. And you can kind of go through that and see if there's anything that you want to absorb about my style of teaching and what we've covered so far. So let's get started with Reiki Level 2. And that came across a very interesting definition. That's the definition of power. And the definition of power is the ability or capacity to do work. Now, we have our work ahead of us, right? Our healing work. And so you're going to be gaining a little extra power for your Reiki practice through the symbols. And it's kind of important to know how to use them, when to ask for permission, which is part of the ethics. And we're going to be covering the ethics as well. So the symbols, and then also being able to send Reiki across a distance. Now, I teach my Level 1 students that they can beam Reiki for a short distance, like from one part of a room to another, so a few feet. You can beam Reiki through your palms. But using the distance symbol and the other 2 symbols that I'm going to be showing you will allow you to send Reiki just about anywhere. Okay? So you are gaining some power, and we're going to be talking about how we use that newfound power. When you get your second level attunement, as I covered in the first video, your aura, your energy field is going to be expanding exponentially. And there's going to be a lot of energy for you to handle. But remember how I said that Reiki is kind. It's not going to really force you to go through something that you can't handle. So generally, people go through some things. This is going to be more of an emotional detox. You're going to be coming to terms with some things in your life that maybe you need to face up to, dealing with some things that may have happened to you in the past, some things that maybe you haven't really wanted to look at. That's what Reiki is going to help you with. And in my opinion, it's better to deal with those things. It's going to make your life a lot better and a lot easier too. Okay, so first of all, I want to talk to you about your energy field. And here I have a little chakra chart. Okay, it's probably kind of hard to see here. These charts, this one I love. It's got all kinds of information in it. And I mentioned the chakras when we talked about doing the healing, the self-healing, and the healing on others, how we were going to give energy to the chakras, right? All those 7 chakras going up your body. And these charts give you all kinds of information on what each chakra deals with. In other words, right here, for example, the base chakra, it deals with reproduction and sex, the physical system of elimination, your tailbone and your left foot, and on a different level, on a more spiritual, mental level, your body needs safety. So the root chakra deals with your safety and your security, your groundedness, and your physical energy. So these are great charts. I think I ordered this one online. They're in a lot of metaphysical stores, massage therapy stores, if you're a massage therapist. And they're really great. It's so worth investing in. You don't need to get a giant wall chart unless you want to. Now, I'm wondering, what are the different reasons people might want to go on to level 2? So let's talk about that a little bit. Some of you may have taken level 1 so that you could treat your own physical health. Maybe you have some chronic conditions and the Reiki has been helpful. I certainly hope that it has been, and now you're curious as to maybe how you can apply more energy to yourself. There are some people who are real prayer warriors, I guess you'd call them, and they want to help other people. They want to be able to send Reiki to their loved ones, to friends, people on Facebook, whoever they can help. They're just these people who are here to help other people heal, and that's great. Okay, that's a very good reason to take level 2. Other people maybe are massage therapists or in the healthcare industry, and at Reiki level 2, then you can call yourself a Reiki practitioner. Okay, that's just kind of a code that people go by. And that at level 2, you can say you're a level 2 practitioner. So that's another reason for wanting to take level 2. And there could be a lot of other reasons as well. Some people just want to go along their spiritual path and discover this energy and go as far as they can with Reiki, because it's a wonderful, wonderful lifestyle that you've adopted by deciding to do Reiki in the first place. And for those of you that are in the healthcare industry and you are going to be giving Reiki for healing and charging people money for it, it's very important to, number 1, decide on a fair price. You need to decide what is worth your time. You might want to, if you give a charge, say $60 for a massage, maybe charge the same price for an hour of Reiki. You might put together some different packages and offer those to people. After your attunement, I'll be sending you a certificate, and I can mail you one with my my signature on it, or I could just email it to you if that's okay. And that will be your proof that you have achieved a level 2 and you have received the level 2 attunement. So I send that out after you get your attunement. And remember to get the attunement, you need to arrange with me by contacting me when would be a good time for both of us to do an individual, either remote attunement, or if you are in Southern California, I can arrange to do your attunement in person. Okay. All right, so just want to get that out of the way too. So back to our energy fields. The different symbols that I'm going to show you today are going to pertain or somehow be connected to the different levels, let's call them, or layers in your aura. So you have this energy field around you. Some people can see it. They see energy around people or even other things. Sometimes they can see to me, I see it as sparklies, okay? But there are layers. A Reiki practitioner often has a very, very big aura about them, very big energy field. And people who can see those things are going to pick up on it, and they're going to know. They're going to probably ask you out of the blue if you do Reiki. So be prepared for that, okay? Because people are going to notice. And if you've been at level 1 for a while, you probably have already noticed that people seem to come to you with their questions of how they can be healed, or they come to you with an injury or whatever, and maybe you were kind of shocked and amazed and surprised and happy all at the same time that this has been happening to you. So first of all, I'm going to show you your first symbol. Now, I will have sent these symbols out to you with instructions on how to draw the symbols. And there are little numbers with lines with arrows. And that means if it's got a number 1, this is the line you draw first. And then the 2 shows which line you draw second, and so on. Okay, so, but I'm just going to show you the symbols and we'll talk about them. All right, so first symbol I'm going to show you is called Chakra. Now, the particular one that I had put into my energy field when I was attuned is a little bit different from the one that you might see on the internet. So with this particular one, this little line or flag, I call it, at the top is facing to the left. Okay, so starting here, going around, and then the spiral is going clockwise. Okay, a lot of the ones that you see online are just the opposite. They have the flag going that way down and the spiral goes counterclockwise. Okay, but this is the one that I will be putting into your aura. It's okay if you want to experiment with the other one, and maybe if you had a different instructor at level 1, you had that other style placed into your aura at your attunement, and that's okay. You can go ahead and use it. This one is flexible. And also, you're going to be probably more introduced to your Reiki Guides at level 2, and they can help you out. If you haven't already met your guides, they're coming. Don't be afraid, okay? I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But so Chakra is our first symbol. Chakra can mean put the power here. It's kind of like your light switch in Reiki. If you want to get something started, if you want to put more energy there. I saw an ad for a Reiki course recently where this woman is tracing chakras all over the place. Some people got upset because she was using them. They were showing this ad with the Reiki symbols all over the place, and I don't know, that some people felt that was unethical, but it is something that you can use, and it's a pretty easy one to draw. Okay, it shouldn't take you very long at all to master this one. All right, so Chakra, I've always felt that Chakra was very protective. it does give extra energy to all the other symbols. So I would say use Chakra freely. It's wonderful, and it pertains to that part of your aura that goes along with your physical body. So Chakra, the physical body, okay? There are 3 recognized layers. So the 3 symbols I'm going to show you will go with each of the layers. So Chakra is really good if somebody just cut their finger. You could use a choke, and you have permission to work on them. You could use a Chakra over the injured area, okay? So there are a lot of other purposes for Chakra. When I send your information sheets to you, there will be another description, a written description there, and there will probably be a lot more things included in that, but mainly it means put the power here, okay? Say Chakra. Now the second symbol I'm going to introduce to you, and I'm afraid maybe some of these symbols are coming out reversed on the camera. So when you get your handout from me, the one that you receive is the right one. This one is Seiheki, or Seiheki, a lot of people call it. To me, it looks like a little man that might have been drawn by Picasso, or a woman, however you want to look at it. Seiheki is the emotional, mental healing symbol. And as you might have guessed, it goes with your emotional body. Okay, so that's your next layer out from the physical body. The next layer in your energy field will go with the emotional layer. Okay, now as you might have guessed, Seiheki is good for healing emotions. It can also help with protection. So if you feel like you need to protect a room, you can use Seiheki and Chakra together. And oftentimes if I want to clear a room or make sure that I have a sacred, safe space for treatments, attunements, then I use the Chakra, and the Seiheki would be great to use along with the Chakra. Use it over doors, windows, any place that you might think of as an entryway or a portal. And of course, there's always the wonderful smudging and tonal vibrations and all sorts of things that I'm not going to cover in this video. I will be writing more blog posts, though, and I'll cover a lot of things in my blog posts because I love to share different Reiki methods. So this is your second symbol, Seiheki. And the instructions for drawing it are to work with this little part first. And then these look like little ears to me here. So that's Seiheki. Pretty simple to learn how to draw this one. And it's a wonderful, wonderful energy to work with. And it's really, really great for emotional healing. I also read recently that it's really good for people that are dealing with addictions. So you might, when you use it freely, if you're trying to break some kind of an addiction, you're trying to quit smoking, maybe even losing weight. In fact, I think I did read that it's a good one for weight loss. So that's your second symbol, Seiheki. Now, when I show you the next symbol, if you haven't already seen it, don't freak out. It's a long one and it's kind of hard to learn how to draw, but I have one little secret, a little tip that I'm going to pass on to you, so it might help with learning how to draw this one. And it is an important one. It is Honshase Shonen. This is your distance symbol, and it pertains to the third layer in your energy field, the mental, or if you want to call it your spirit level. And this is what you can use to send Reiki forward in time or backward in time. And I'll talk about forward and backward in just a minute. I think the forward is kind of obvious, that you can send it to somebody who's far away and maybe they're dealing with a situation or an illness and you'd like to send some Reiki to them. You can use this, and you can use it in combination with Chokure and Seheki. But this is what's going to be able to help you to send the energy across the distance. So one way to use the symbols would be to start out Chokure, turn on the energy. And I'll talk about different methods for sending the energy in a few minutes. Then maybe if there's, usually there is some kind of an emotional element to everything that happens to us physically. Send some Seheki, and then this is what's going to give it the push. This is what's going to send it off to heal that person. Now you can also send forward in time. Some people like to use Reiki to save themselves a parking space at a store. So you're going to go to some big store like Target or Walmart or one of those big giant stores, and it's hard to find a parking place. If you can send some energy ahead of time to the parking lot there and ask that a good parking place be saved for you, that you won't have too much trouble finding a parking place. People use Reiki for all kinds of different situations. There's even, I saw Reiki for abundance and various things. But again, we want to make sure we're being fair. We want to make sure we're applying some ethics when we use Reiki, because that's part of our Reiki precepts, okay? To live your life honorably and decide what it is you really need, okay? If you're able-bodied and you work out all the time, you don't want to take a parking place away from somebody that's on crutches or somebody that is just not as able to walk. So think things through. It's okay if you want to save yourself a parking place, though. Those are your three symbols, okay? Chokure for the physical body mostly. That's your light switch. It turns on the Reiki, put the power here. Seheki goes for for the emotional, I should say. You can treat things, and it goes really well with the Chokure because a lot of physical illnesses start on the emotional level. And then you're on your spiritual level, you have Honsha Seishonen. That's quite a mouthful. Oh, I was going to show you some tricks for learning how to draw the Chokure. Now, it's fine when you're using the symbols to visualize them. And in fact, I recommend that. Try to just picture it, visualize it. In the past, I think people have associated certain colors with them, but don't tie yourself to that. Maybe you'll see it light up with a certain color, and that'll be great. It'll be a gift. And it might not even be the violet color that some people have suggested that the symbols have. It could be a different color. And if you know anything about colors and their vibrations and what they mean, that could speak to you about what's going on with that energy. But for when you're doing attunements at level 3, you do need to be able to draw these symbols. So now is the time to start practicing. Now for Honsha Seishonen, this particular one, you see lots of different versions of this particular symbol, okay? I made up a kind of a little story. I haven't finished writing the whole story yet. I'm sorry about that. When I do, I'll write a blog post about it. But I thought, what if I were to divide this up into different parts and memorize the parts, but decided if they look like something to me. Now, they might look like something else to you, so feel free to make up your own story, okay? But this first part here, to me, that looks like a little man on a pogo stick or a unicycle, okay? So that's the first one. There's his head, there's his arms, there's his legs, and he's sitting on that pogo stick there, okay, at the top. Now, next we have some crisscross lines. I'll just say the sideways X. It's kind of dividing things. And in fact, I just thought of something. This is Mr. F down here in his hat. And the hat has a little bit of a bend in it. And he's got a walking stick. Okay? You see Mr. F with his walking stick? Well, the guy on the pogo stick is going to land on him, but he ducked underneath this little roof right here. So anyway, that helps you to look at it. So there's F with a hat, a walking stick. Underneath is a Chinese hat. I'm not sure what the proper name is for those kind of hats, but the ones with the little peak at the top. There's the base of the hat. So I see a Chinese hat. I see the number 7. And over here is a happy face looking at 7. So if you can make up little things that will help you to remember what that picture looks like, and then of course practice using the number guidelines, you should be able to draw the symbols in no time. Okay, those little things can really help you to memorize how to draw the symbols. But if you're going to go on and become a Reiki master or a Reiki instructor and attune other people, you have to be able to draw those symbols. Now, when I do, and some people say you can visualize them, and it really helps. I go by what Diane Stein in her book Essential Reiki says, and that is to draw them. And you're holding your breath while you're doing your attunement, which I go into in level 3. And so you got to be quick. Let's talk for a minute, though, about your Reiki guides, because you do have spiritual assistants. They may make themselves known to you. If you're a therapist, people might feel another pair of hands in there. With that, they might feel another pair of hands on their feet, and you got your hands up here on the person's shoulders. It isn't frightening, all right? Just if that bothers you to think about things like that, just figure it's an intuitive thing, all right? But they are interested in helping you. And if you want their help, all you have to do is ask, okay? So the reason I was talking about that is that they are here to help us with using the symbols. Diane Stein, in her book, and I mentioned this in the last class, her book, Essential Reiki. She's also written a teacher's manual, and she meditated one time on the symbols, saying, there's all these different versions of the symbols. Which ones are the right ones? And the answer she got was that none of them are really completely right, okay? They have been passed down from person to person, but in the beginning, they were never written down. They were secret. And so now, people's memories being what they are, they've been changed over time, and there's different versions. It's like when you play that telephone game where you whisper in somebody's ear a phrase, and they whisper it in somebody else's ear, and you go around perhaps a circle of friends. By the time you get to the last person, the original message doesn't sound anything like the original message doesn't sound anything like the final message that you get. So it's been that way with the symbols. They've been passed down and they aren't 100% correct. But remember, your intent is worth a lot, and your guides are here to help you. If you make a mistake, they can correct it, okay? So nothing to stress out about. I know people see that long Honcha Seishonin symbol and they're like, I give up. I'm never going to learn that. It's just too hard. But you'll learn it. Just keep at it. Go back. Take a second look. Look at it every day. Pin it up on your wall. practice it, even practice it once a day, and you'll have it in no time. You'll learn it. Okay? So I talked about the symbols. I talked about your guides. I talked about your ethics and using Reiki. And remember, as I said in the first video, that you always need to ask permission for healing. And you might say, well, my Aunt Martha is in a coma and I can't ask her if she wants me to send her Reiki. Well, for the most part, people have said that you can have your higher self talk to their higher self. You might wonder, well, why wouldn't somebody want Reiki sent? Well, there are various reasons. I won't go into all of them, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, but sometimes the answer is no. Much of the time, the answer is yes, but sometimes the answer is no. I don't want you to send me any Reiki. And some people have said, well, you could go ahead and send it and just stipulate that if it's not needed, that the Reiki energy will go to someone that wants it, that's in need, or back to the earth to benefit the earth. Those are some very good thoughts. I have another way that works for me, and this would be my higher self communicating with the other person's higher self. Okay, I use a pendulum to test things. Now, there's another way of energy testing where you're supposed to make a loop with your fingers and then try to break the loop. If you can't break that, I don't even remember how it goes because it doesn't work for me. Okay, but I think if you can't break it, then the answer is yes, and if you can break it, the answer is no, or vice versa. That doesn't work for me. It might work for you. So look it up and you might be able to use that to test to see if the answer is yes, you should send Reiki, or no, you shouldn't. But I use a pendulum. Pendulum works very well for me. I test a lot of things with it. Does the pendulum work for me? And the pendulum is showing me yes. Okay, so I might say, does my mother appreciate me sending her Reiki? And a lot of the time I won't look at the pendulum because I don't want to influence it in some way. And it's still saying yes. Okay, my no is going counterclockwise. My yes is going clockwise. You might have practice with the pendulum first before you use it. And practice with different hands, using either your left hand or right hand. For some people, this is yes, backwards and forwards. For some people, this is no. And I find a lot of the time, if there's no right or wrong answer, it just kind of stays in the middle. Like if somebody's conflicted about something or something hasn't been decided yet. All right, so you can use a pendulum also to find out if it's okay to send Reiki. Then you are ready to start sending Reiki to people. Or you can send it to situations too, if you want to do that, like getting a parking place, okay? You can send it to your job interview that you're going to. That's a really nice, constructive way to use it, to put your best foot forward, right? But if you're sending it to a person, you can visualize that person. They have shrunk down to be a mini version of them, so they fit right in the palm of your hand. Then you can put the other hand on top, close your eyes, see that person, try to hold that thought, visualize your Reiki symbols, your Tokure, your Seiheki, and your Honsha Seishonen over your hands. And then you might state, I wish to send Reiki to my Aunt Linda, who had just had surgery. Please send her Reiki healing. And then just sit there and wait. You'll probably feel the energy flowing. And intuitively, you should know how long to do it and when to stop. And that's the first way. And that's always an easy way because you always have your hands with you. You don't need any supplies for doing it that way. The other thing is that you can use your legs. Your knee would be their head. The middle part would be their torso. And then closest to your body could be the lower part of their body. You could designate the left leg to be the front of the body, the right to be the back of the body, and give them a full Reiki treatment. Doing the same thing, intending that, visualizing that person, visualizing the symbols, putting out your request, and then just sit there and send them Reiki. Okay, using your two legs, and that's usually there. It's a little more conspicuous if you're sitting in an audience somewhere or you're at work and you get a phone call about something and you feel like you need to send Reiki immediately. I think maybe the easiest one is the one with the cupped hands and just closing your eyes for a minute, sending Reiki. Okay, the next one that I think it makes it a little more concrete for most people is to use a doll, a teddy bear, as a substitute for that person. And one way I heard of doing it, usually I just name it, say this temporarily is my cousin Ralph, okay, and then treat Ralph with Reiki using the symbols, sending it out mentally, envisioning Ralph. But he's a little bit more concrete, and I often feel like the energy can flow a little bit better when you got your hands on the actual physical body. And maybe that's just me, I don't know. But you can also pinpoint the area a little bit better to where the pain is. All right, maybe he's had trouble with his stomach, so you can treat his stomach. Maybe he's had these horrible migraines, you can work on his head. And some people say, envision Ralph standing there in the room watching you treat the bear. I personally just say, you're a proxy for Ralph. Okay, I'm going to do my Reiki treatment on you, Ralph, right now. Use those distance symbols while you're doing it. Now, I made a great discovery recently, and I found out that they make these little stress balls, and they look like a globe. They look like planet Earth. And, you know, if you got stress, you can squeeze them. But I like to send Reiki energy to the planet. You know, we really need it, don't we? And if you want to be specific, you could even like pinpoint a country. Like right now during COVID, India's having a really hard problem with trying to get their numbers lower with COVID cases and all that. But whatever you want to envision, or you can just send it to the oceans, send Reiki to the whole earth. And it's just about the right size to put both your hands around. State your intention, use your symbols, and send that Reiki to planet Earth. And remember that Reiki is flowing through you while you do this, and it's going to be healing you as well. That's just such a wonderful gift of Reiki. You always get to benefit from it. And this is a Reiki box. It's one that I decorated. I put Reiki symbols on it. It was one of those paper mache boxes that you buy from a craft store. You don't have to paint it very fancy. You might want to just keep it plain. You might even find some of the symbols or print some off and decoupage them onto the box or paint them on, draw them on with markers, and just make it your own personal Reiki box. Inside, I have slips of paper that I have written requests for healing on. Of course, I always ask for permission. And if the people ask me to send Reiki, then I write the name of the person on the box. Sometimes I just write their name because I know that they probably need healing on various levels, or sometimes there's something specific. It just depends. Sometimes I'll write one of the symbols on the note, and yet I have my master symbol, my Chokure, my Saheki, and on the inside of the box I painted the distance symbol. If you can see it there, the Hanshase Shunin. Periodically I go through the box and I remove some of the petitions that are in there. And personally, I burn them. I figure they've gone up to the heavens. Thank you. All right. But that's another way to do Reiki. Now, I have a little area. I call it my Reiki altar. You can call it your Reiki meditation area, whatever you want to call it. It would be a table where you can place your Reiki box. And I have a rainbow Reiki shower that is programmed to continue to send Reiki to the people in my Reiki box. So that's something that I like doing. Now, I'm not gonna, I know you're going, how do you make a rainbow shower? Well, it's in this book. It's called Reiki Best Practices. Love this book. It's Wonderful Tools of Healing for the First, Second, and Third Degree of Reiki. It's by Walter Lubeck and Frank Arhava-Petter. Reiki Best Practices, and it is available online, and that is backwards, isn't it? Because I had to reverse the thing on my camera. I think I'll make a reading list for people and probably post it on my website, because this is a great one. It's got the rainbow shower in it and lots of other ideas how you can use Reiki in your daily life. This is a daily life thing, right? We use it every single day. We do our self-treatments every day. We think in terms of the Reiki precepts of not angering. I know that's hard sometimes. And not worrying. And that's my big thing, is worrying. I think a lot of women have that issue, but got to follow our Reiki precepts every single day. Okay, so I think I've just about covered the essentials of what you need to know for Reiki 2. You're going to be getting an attunement from me. Remember, you'll send me an email, a text message, a phone call, and we will arrange a time for your attunement. After that, remember to ground yourself after the attunement, give yourself a self-treatment and all that. After that, when you start practicing your symbols, connecting with that energy, and doing some things. If you have to take baby steps, that's fine. You should be adjusting to this energy over the next few months. And if and when you decide that you want to get your third level attunement for Reiki 3, then just go to my website at Sage Blossom Reiki, and we'll work things out so that you can get my third video on level 3 Reiki, and we'll go from there. So blessings to you. I have lost, oh, here it is, my little clicker friend. Blessings to you. Remember, if you ever have any questions, if you ever need any kind of support, I'm your Reiki instructor for as long as you want me. I'm honored that you chose me, that you reached out to me to help you along your Reiki path. So blessings to you. Namaste. And I hope to communicate with you soon.